I'm Vickie Takeda. I'm with the YAC Lecture Series program. San Jose, Japantown was designated a cultural district. And so now we have a package. We have San Francisco, LA, and now San Jose as designated cultural arts district.
Good deal.
And I want to thank you for coming today because what your attendance does here today is you elevate and you help to sustain our cultural arts. So thank you so much. So now what I would like to do is I would like to introduce to you our distinguished guest. She has the label of Professional Paper Crumpler. That's a self-anointed label. I was given that title to introduce her with. But she is seriously a origami designer. And as you begin to listen and you watch and you see what she's going to present and what she has created, you begin to understand that label, origami designer. She's a columnist with Nichibei News, and maybe some of you have heard of her online posting, Freefold Origami Saturdays. She's a business owner of Paper Tree and Mountain Valley. Because of her art form and her artistry, it's taken her all over the world to present her work and to participate in her work. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Linda Mihara.
Thank you, Vickie. Thank you so much for having me. This is a real delight. I am so excited to bring a little bit of origami to your group. Since the emphasis is cultural arts preservation, I am really happy to say that I could definitely speak on that as far as origami goes. Little history about my family and origami. So my grandparents, Tokinobu and Hideko Mihara, had an import business. My grandpa also wrote about 30 books, both in Japanese and in English, which includes 2 of the first books written on origami in English. This was produced right in San Francisco's Japantown, because that's where we lived. So my grandparents lived on the top 2 floors of this Victorian. The import business was housed in the building behind the house. For the longest time when these books were around, we never knew what year these came out until very recently. One of my friends was doing some research on something, and he happened to do a little offshoot and discovered my grandpa. And there was an article in the Hokubei Mainichi that said, blind author produces an origami book. So yes, my grandpa was blind when he wrote these. He also wrote a lot of other books, but let me tell you a little bit about my grandpa. They were living in San Francisco, and then, as you know, during the internment, during the war, they were shipped off to Heart Mountain, Wyoming. Before going there, my grandpa was being treated for glaucoma in San Francisco. When they went to camp, he didn't have the same care, ended up losing his sight while he was in camp. But it didn't stop him from writing the 2 origami books. We found out this came out in 1959, which is the year I was born. And then the next year was the 2nd edition. These books were brilliant because when he wrote these books, nobody knew what origami was. How do you present origami to the masses? You include folded origami figures so that you can see what origami is. You knew what you were going to fold. Here's a crane. Had the instructions and then pack of paper ready to go. They also imported packaged origami paper under their brand. It was all hand-dyed paper. This is one of the ones that in the actual, how it is, origami paper. The company was called Oriental Culture Book Company. I carry these books with me when I go do events as good luck. Yeah, so these have been around the world. Back to my grandpa. So when he came out of camp, they could not come back to San Francisco immediately. They settled in Salt Lake City. When he was there, he was a co-editor of the New World Sun, which at that time was a Japanese-American newspaper. Finally, they came back to San Francisco, and he wrote the first Romanized English-Japanese dictionary. How do you do that without the use of computers? You had to be very well educated. He graduated from Waseda University, in Japan. He also came up with a system of Braille for the Japanese language while he was in camp. At Heart Mountain, there's a case dedicated to him where they actually show the Braille board that was created. And there's a picture of my grandpa there too. He would dictate the definitions of these words to a secretary who then would type it up. And then this got produced. He had a guide dog. That was when, we were living in the same building. His guide dog, Vanny. I learned that even if you had a handicap like not having sight, it doesn't stop you from achieving great things. He wrote books on U.S. citizenship. He helped the Issei learn the English language. He did so many incredible things. And to me, he was just grandpa growing up. People would ask me, they go, it must be great that you got to actually learn origami from your grandpa. And I said, well, he never sat down next to me and showed me because he could not do that. But I did learn with his books. So that's kind of my background. We like to think origami kind of started here in the States, right in San Francisco's Japantown, so that through my grandpa's stuff. So that was kind of cool. I still meet people from my generation that remembered having these as their first books. And was it Judy was the one that had the book? She showed me her copy. It's just like, wow, it's great. So I get to do events around the world. I get to curate exhibits. I get to do things for TV commercials and print ads. I'll be happy to show you the commercials after we do our little lesson. I always try to do something that's a little bit different in origami, something that's never been done before. So that kind of is the start of my wearable series. So this is a dress. It's one piece of paper. It closes with magnets in the front. That's how you could wear it, get in and out of it. And it is a size 0. I am not a size 0. I have not put this on. But when I finished it, I said it needs shoes. So I made high heel shoes to go with it too, which is really great. This was the second wearable piece that I did. The first wearable piece I did is the kimono jacket. Not to categorize the world of origami designers, but I have a background in fashion. And a lot of the male creators, again, I don't want to put a title on them or anything, but they like to design boy things like dragons, things like, fantasy creatures, and not really into fashion, right? Issei Miyake is a great example of him doing origami things in fabric. I thought it was a great chance for me to do a really interesting design work, to try to design a piece of wearable art from a single sheet of paper. This is one sheet of paper. It is wearable. I was really thrilled when I finished this. And so, like this is all one sheet. It's a great exploration that I've been able to do. Let's see this. Oh, the shoes are in here. Not a good picture of it, but there's another dress that's from one long, 14-foot long sheet of paper. The top is all folded. The bottom is not folded. I wanted to leave it unfolded just so that you can see that it is from paper. And it is one sheet. I also do these things with 1,000 cranes. I make art using 1,001 cranes. I do a lot of that for like weddings, anniversaries, things like that. And then let's go beyond the crane. So that's the name of this talk here. So the crane is the most recognizable figure in the world of origami. There is an old book. It's actually the first published book on origami technique that goes back to 1797 in Japan. And it's the work of this Buddhist monk who used origami as his form of meditation. He wanted to create multiple cranes from a single sheet of paper. And so he came up with 49 different designs. And there was one particular design that I studied, which was 9 cranes, and it was like from one sheet of paper. And I kept doing that technique in different numbers, things like that. It's called the Rokoan technique of connected cranes. So all the cranes, it's all part of the same paper. It's not glued together. So what it is it's a special cutting technique so if you imagine a grid of squares, you're cutting the squares, but you're not cutting the corners where they intersect. Then you have to fold without tearing the connection. The connection has to be as close to the corner as you're comfortable to make it look like it's just touching. After doing this technique for many, many years, it occurred to me I could turn this into a 3-dimensional shape. So this I call the peace sphere. It's 18 crane. This was, everyone says, well, how long did it take you to fold this? Well, actually the design took 4 years. And the reason why it took 4 years is that I was on the hunt to find the perfect paper that this will work with. And it was a 4-year hunt for doing it because I wanted to create a sculpture that was going to stand by itself, where I didn't have to put wire in it. I didn't have to coat it with anything. I wanted it to be pure paper sculpture. So that was the 4-year hunt. Since then, I've found a couple of papers that will work with this. So this I call the peace sphere because I want people to think of peace. This is one world. Everyone's actions affect everyone else's. We got to all work together. So that was my thinking. I'm really excited that they're going to be casting this into a sculpture for the Peace Plaza in Japantown in San Francisco. I'm like, yes! Along with Ruth Osawa's fountains down the street, that's just like my mind's blown. Okay, so there was an exhibit in Salzburg, Austria. It was sponsored by Red Bull. They wanted to do an origami exhibit. They challenged all the origami artists to come up with something unique and something different. So I've done the sphere. Hey, let's do the cube. So this cube, 49 cranes. This was the exhibit, the Masters of Origami exhibit in Salzburg. That's where I premiered this model, which is really great. And the sphere was actually in this exhibit, Masterworks. This was held in San Diego at the Mingei Museum. And it was the first time they presented origami in a museum setting. So it was a real historical thing as far as the origami world is concerned. So they have they actually own the sphere, the original sphere down there. I'm still exploring doing different things with this connected cranes technique. So this is a mother and child cranes. This is also one piece of paper. They're connected at the wingtips here. Isn't that sweet? Very sweet. This is a wearable bracelet. Kind of cool. I also did a necklace that was worn at the Emmy Awards in 2017, I think, which is really great. Occasionally, I'll have a project. In this case, there was a challenge to do something, fold something from a dollar bill for Merrill Lynch. They wanted a bull folded from a dollar bill. For a direct mail campaign, they were going to send out 2,000 bulls to their... This is when they had money, I guess. But then, so I came up with the design, and then I went to redo it, and then I had the other side of I started with the other side of the dollar, and that's when I saw the eyes. So if you get a closer look at this, there's eyes on the face. They ended up not wanting to use this. They didn't want to, it's just like, fine, you don't want to pay for the time or they totally didn't believe in, see, they thought, and this happens with a lot of commercial projects, they think because it's paper, it's cheap. And it only costs them $1 to fold. Yeah, so I'm in the process of educating them that no, this is a technique, this isn't art. Oh, and I have a little elephant that has I'll just show you guys real quick. Isn't he cute?
Very cute. Oh, man.
So this has been one of my most popular models that everybody just falls in love with. I had this at the exhibit in Salzburg, and everyone's like pointing at it,
Do you lacquer these things?
No. This is just pure paper.
Even the bracelets, you don't lacquer?
Nope, that's just the special foil. Thank you.
Is that one of a kind?
My design, yeah, so I guess that would be, yeah. Mm-hmm. And because we're talking about origami, I wanted to bring a couple of models by two amazing origami designers as well. As examples of how far, in my lifetime, I've seen huge jump in how origami also does straddles the fine art, thing. So this is the work of my friend Goran Konjevad, and it's not representational origami, it's sculptural, right? And this requires some intense, precise folds and pleats, what we call them pleats. And look how beautiful this is. It's very organic. Something, you may not have seen anything like this, but this is origami. It's folded paper. So I wanted to show this as an example of some really interesting things that are happening, in origami. Yes, one sheet. No cuts, as is this guy. So this is a hermit crab designed and folded by probably Japan's kind of, I guess we're all calling him a new master. See, it's two different colors. So it's a hermit crab. When you do origami, you can take advantage of the two different sides of the paper. So the shell is one side of the paper, the body's the other side. This is one uncut square. But look at how beautifully this is folded. The question is there an origami museum? There's one in Uruguay, there's one in Zaragoza, Spain. They both own my piece. And at Paper Tree, I think we do a pretty good job of having a museum there. We have some amazing pieces there So on that note, you guys ready to do some folding? Yes. Okay, all right. We're gonna first start with what I call a warm-up. Okay, just to get your fingers all limber, and then we're going to go into the sphere. I'm just kidding. We're just going to. All right. We are going to first start. One of the papers that you have, the 6-inch paper, has yellow on one side and red on the other. Also find the single yellow sheet. Put that aside, but have that ready to go, because we're going to use both of those. Okay, red and yellow. Okay, so we are going to first start with the red and yellow paper. Turn it over to the yellow side face up. We're going to fold it into a triangle. So here's my trick for the first fold. The first fold is always the hardest because you have the most paper. So this is what I suggest. Use one hand to guide the point to line up with the other point. Once it's lined up, hold it in place. Pull straight down the middle first with your other hand, and then go from the middle to the outside. Then release the top hand and then do the other half. That way the paper doesn't shift on you and you have a nice, clean triangle. How did that work? Because a lot of times when you go side to side, you're always off by the time you get to the other side. Start from the middle and it goes really well. Okay. Orient your model just like you see it on camera so that it's pointing away from you. Let's take the right-hand corner here and we're going to bring it to this edge here. And what we want to do is create as perfect of a triangle in this space up in here. Does that make sense? So you're going to try to make a triangle with that flap up there. So you should have this. It should have a nice, pretty symmetrical triangle up in here. You've got this one flap coming across here. Now you're going to take the left-hand point here, and we're going to bring it across to the opposite side here. It's like we're crossing our arms across our chest and touching our shoulders. So your model should look like this, okay? Now on the top, we have two flaps. You want to take the top flap and bring the point right down to the middle until it touches the rest of the model, so it looks like that. And then you're going to take that whole flap and fold it down as far as it'll go, which will look like that. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I think you guys are doing, well, based on the models that I see on the tables, I'm like, oh, do you really need me to teach? Because you guys are doing great. Okay, so it should look like this. Now let's turn it over to the other side. And let's repeat those two steps. We're going to take the top flap and fold it down a little bit. You can kind of see where the top of the model is through the layers. And then take the layer and go all the way down as far as it'll go. It'll look like this. Okay. Turn it over. And then on the top where the yellow edge is, you can open it up and it's a cup. Okay. Now based on the color, the red and yellow, what kind of cup does this look like? Yes, McDonald's French fries. All right, so we need fries. That's what the yellow sheet is for. So grab the yellow sheet. We're going to do some fries. It might be kind of a peachy color because I think I ran out of yellow. And we're going to fold it into a rectangle this time. So again, same rule applies. You line up your corners and your top edge, hold it in place, pull straight down the middle, and go from the middle to the outside. And I'm folding with a larger square because it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, so everyone's got that. Now, let's take one of the short ends, this one here, and let's fold it down to the width of a French fry. That could be skinny, that could be a steak fry. Well, we're going for McDonald's, so just kind of make it about that, shoestring, right? Something like that. Give it a good crease. And then what we're going to do is create an accordion going down the rest of this. So that means you're going to turn it over to the other side, fold it down, matching the width of the first fry that you did. And you just keep going back and forth to create an accordion. And you could use your side edges to make sure that you're square. But don't freak out if it starts to go one way or the other. It's fine. Again, this is a warm-up. This is a really good warm-up for your fingers. So just go back and forth. Try to stack it as best as you can. That'll give you the nice even. And this is great because it's no calories, all fiber. And just go back and forth. And French fries are not perfect either, so you're good. If one's like really, really fat, don't worry about it. It's all good. Like I said, this is our warm-up, okay? All right, everyone good? Now, if you look at your, just put all the layers together and just give it a good squeeze so that it reinforces the creases. And if you look at one end, well, actually, you don't want to look at both ends. One end will be the closed end, right, which is where the fold is. The other end is the open end. You can kind of see a little bit of the white from the back side of the paper, okay? The open end is what you want face down. So the side that has the white, you want to have that face down. Okay. Now, the closed end, you want to take that and just fan it out on that end, like this. Okay. Take your French fry cup, open it up, slip your fries in, and there you go. Don't you love this? This is so great. This is a great one to teach your kids or your grandkids. If you're a teacher, it's a great thing to teach kids. You just have to find yellow and red paper. You can get 2 sheets and put it back to back and fold it together, which is great. Good job. Hold it up. Let me see the fries. Nice. Okay. Don't you love it? I love it. This is great. All right. We're going to go right into the dollar bill fold. Okay. So no, those are not real dollars. Okay, so don't go spending it. It says United States of Origami on the front, so you're not going to get away with it, but it's very convincing. So the request was to teach a dollar bill fold. So this is one of my favorites that I'm going to teach you. And just because I showed you the bowl, if you turn the bill over on the other side, and you know where the circles are, you've got a pyramid on one and you've got the eagle on the other. If you turn it this way, the eyes are right here. Isn't that fun? Okay, so now I'd like you to go ahead and have the model with the one and up and George's face is down underneath, right? So orient your model like this. We're going to take this and fold this in half lengthwise. The one thing about dollar bill folding is it gets very small very quickly. So take your time. And there's a big fudge factor with this model too. You'll find that it doesn't, if you're not precise, it's okay. But something like this, or the cranes, there's no fudge factor at all. You got to be super precise. Okay, so everyone's got this. Now let's unfold this. And you'll have a crease that goes down the middle. I love the fact that I could just draw on this, no problem. Now what you want to do is we want to fold all 4 corners to that center line. So let's go ahead and do that. And make sure you don't go over it. Now if you have a hard time finding the crease because of the pattern, you can kind of refold it like this, and then that will find the edge for you. Does that make sense? Doesn't always happen, and then you can kind of flip it, and then you've got that edge there, so you can go ahead and do the other 2 corners. That's the one thing, when you're first doing an origami model, it's always good to just use basic origami paper. Now there's lots of beautiful patterns and things like that, but patterns could be very distracting and you're not going to be able to see your pre-creases. This is a good example of that. But dollar bill folding is great fun. There's a huge category. A lot of people love doing dollar bill folds. Leave it as tips. Although now it's a lot of Apple Pay, right? So they miss out on it. So when I do a little dollar bill fold, it's like, ooh, it's kind of cool. All right, so now you have this, right? I'm going to flip it so that the one is face up. We're going to take the long edge here. We call it the raw edge. And we're going to bring that up to the center and do the same thing for the other half. Notice how quiet you guys are? Isn't this great? So growing up, I would be, after school, I'd be sitting around with my sister and brother, and we'd be folding things from my grandpa's books. And we're like you guys, very silent. So my mom, who was working in the next room, had to come in and check on us because she didn't hear any kids screaming, she didn't hear any glass breaking, she didn't hear anything going on. And we're sitting there folding paper, so she's like, good, that's a good babysitting thing. Okay, so everyone should have this, right? Now we're going to take this and let's see, we're going to fold it this way. Okay, let's turn it over to the other side. So now you're looking at George. Okay, we're going to fold George in half. So bring the points together and fold George in half. Now, let's rotate it so that the folded edge is facing away from you. And you see these 2 corners here. We're going to fold them down to the center, making small triangles. Right? This. And like this. And you want to give this a really good crease. Now there are lots of creasing tools out there. I brought a few that help you, especially if you're doing dollar bill folding. It has cotton rag in it, and so it doesn't take a fold as easily as regular origami paper. So you do need sometimes, but this is paper that you're dealing with. It's not a real dollar. So, okay, so make sure that that's a good crease, because now what you're going to do is unfold those 2 triangles. We're going to turn it over, and we're going to fold the triangles back this way. What we're doing is we're reinforcing that those diagonal creases that set us up for the next fold. Okay, so we folded it one way and then we're folding it the other way. Let's unfold those two. You've got nice creases there. Let's open it up like this. You will see, hopefully, what we want to do, okay, you've got creases that go this way and creases that go this way. You've just done that with the two triangles. What you want to do is reinforce them. Okay, so you're looking at this where it says $1 on this side. Let's re-crease that diagonal like this. Give it a good crease. Unfold it. And then fold the other diagonal. So we just want to reinforce that X into valley folds. These are called valley folds because it makes a valley in the paper. It's a directional fold for the model. So now that we have that, what we want to do is collapse this thing. So watch this. You should be able to bring these together and then the corners come in. Do you see how that goes? Go ahead and do that. And flatten. It's a balloon base. If you've done the balloon, it's like a little balloon base there. Anybody having any issues with that? It should have gone collapsed right away, right? The X, and you're just bringing it together. So it should look like this. Now what we're going to do, hopefully we can proceed. Yeah, you should see a little bit of George here, right? What we're going to do, this creates a triangle on this end here. So what we want to do is let's take this top flap and fold it over. And what you should see is the edge of that pleat that you've done. So what you're doing is you're taking this and it's basically this corner to this corner here. So you're just opening this up. So it should look like this, which is right on the edge of that pleat that we did on the first thing. Okay, and then you're going to turn it over and fold the other flap, and it should match the one on the other side. So if you've got this, it should say this. Let's see, let me flip it. It should say almost the united, and then there's ON, right? And if you turn it over to the other side, it should say AR and partial of origami. Yes, great, success. Okay, so now let's turn it so that this flat edge is facing away from you. You will notice that you have two corners on either side. We're going to take each corner and fold it down. So on this side, we're folding just the top layer down. So it makes the little triangles like this, right? You're doing that. Then you're turning it over and folding those two triangles down. Let me know if you want me to repeat that. But the corners should be there, and it should look like this, right? You've got those corners that get folded down. So there should be two on this side and two on this side. And really pinch this flat. If you can't get it, don't be discouraged. See me afterwards. Okay, it's all good. I pride myself on being 100% success rate when I teach a class, so I gotta keep on that record. Okay, so now that we have that, all the folding is done. Now nobody asked me what we're folding, which is really interesting. Now you're gonna find out what we're folding. Okay, I'd like you to orient, okay, you have two flaps here, right? So now this is important. You wanna open this up with your hands, but you want to put your thumbs on either side holding those those pairs of triangles down, okay? Behind it, you want to support it with your index finger. It's like you're pinching that, okay? Now, keep holding that, and then what you're going to do is you're going to open this up, and that stretches out the center, and what you have, if you turn it over, is a bow tie with George's face in the middle. Isn't that great? And then you can flatten it. Now, was that good? Nice. It might take a little bit to try to pop it open. If you're having issues, don't worry about it. Try it one more time. Yeah, hey, St. Patty's Day is Tuesday? Wednesday? So you can actually put a put a safety pin back there and wear it. Yeah, it's a safety pin. It's also a good thing to wear. All the accountants will some accountants wear this on tax day. It's hilarious. Yeah. But there's a whole category of origami dollar bill folding. I don't think you guys saw this one, but here's my elephant with the eye here too. Isn't he cute? This next fold, we're actually going to be doing 2 at the same time, because we're going to make 2 different models that share the same base. You definitely want one of the single red. You want the large square that's in front of you. These 2 we're going to be folding at the same time. See, you've graduated from the dollar bill fold and the French fries, so now you guys are ready for this. You're like, oh no, what am I going to do? Okay, so what we do to one square, we're going to do with the other square. And that way we can do the base for this at the same time. Start with the color side face up. Okay, fold it into a triangle. So remember the technique, line up your points, pull straight down the middle, go from the middle to the outside. It's more critical when you're folding larger squares. That's when you could really see if you're off or not. And then go ahead and do the same thing for your smaller square. Now let's unfold both of these. Let's rotate them so that the fold line's going vertically. And let's fold this triangle. So the white is on the outside still. And there are lots of ways to get to this base. This I found is the easiest and the most accurate way to get to this base. And you'll see what I mean. When you do this, you'll say, oh, I've done that before. Okay, now let's unfold both of those. I think that's probably, you could still see that. Okay. Let's turn them over to the other side, the white side. So now you've got the white side face up. Let's fold both rectangles. So let's fold one first. Again, remember, start from the middle and work your way out. Let's do the smaller one too. Now let's unfold. Unfold. Let's rotate so that line is going vertically, and let's fold the second rectangle. When you fold the second rectangle, leave it folded. Do not unfold. This is the first time I thought about doing this 2 models at the same time, but it really makes sense because it's working. And I like that. And I didn't lose any of you yet, so that's a good sign. Let's take the big one and find the folded edge, which should be facing you, right? You want to hold it up off the table. And what you want to do, here's my folded edge. You want to pinch each corner of the folded edge. It's up from the table. And then what you're going to do is bring your hands together, with the goal being the 4 points meet at the bottom. You see what happens there? Then what you want to do is you want to split your layers 2 and 2, and then flatten. So now you have a preliminary base. So let's do that for the smaller one here. Again, find the folded edge. Pinch each corner of the folded edge. Bring it together. And divide your layers. Okay? So you should have, these are called preliminary bases, or a stacked square, right? And then go ahead and flatten it out once you have that. There is a crease that goes down the middle. I'd like you to orient this so that the open end is facing you. So just like what you see on camera, have the open end facing you. You should have 2 flaps on either side, on both of them. You're going to let's take the top flap, the right side here of your large model, and you see this edge, which is the edge closest to you. You're going to take that edge and line it up with the center crease, like this, okay? This is the open end, right? You want to make sure you don't go over that center crease. It's almost like you want to go just short of it to make it accurate. And then do the same thing for the left-hand side of that same model. That comes in. So you're going to make kind of an ice cream cone shape. If you have that done, go ahead and do your smaller one too, okay? Again, it's the edge that's closest to you that gets folded to the center. It should look like this. Make sure that open end is facing you. That's really important. The top should be closed in, right? Okay, everyone have that? We're only doing one side here. Now, let's go back to the bigger one. You see this triangle up here on the top? We have an ice cream cone here. It's missing some ice cream. So let's take that ice cream, the triangle, and fold it down. So we're putting ice cream on the cone, so it should look like this. And give that a good crease because there's about 4 layers of paper. And this is a real important part of this model. Let's do the same thing for the smaller one, right? Take that triangle, put the ice cream down onto the cone, give it a good crease. It's not going to lay flat. It's going to kind of stick up a little bit, and that's fine, as long as the crease is in place. Okay, everyone good? Now this next step is important because it's very tempting to, we're going to unfold some flaps. We only want to unfold 2 flaps, not the 3rd flap. But everyone ends up doing it anyway. So just be mindful. That's why I'm just noting. Okay, Mr. Ice Cream stays folded. You want to reach underneath Mr. Ice Cream and unfold just the 2 flaps underneath. Leave Mr. Ice Cream folded. Do the same thing for the other one. Do not unfold Mr. Ice Cream. It's tempting, I know. I found that's a real important part of this model. No one asked me what we're folding. Ha ha ha. Okay, this next step, we're going to work with the larger square. We want to use both hands for this step. You want to peel open just the top layer of paper. There's a bunch of layers down there. With one hand, hold the rest of it down with your other hand like this. And then what's going to happen is you're going to open it up. You may have to open up the pocket here, right? So when you stretch it out, you see how the sides come in? That's what you want. Start from the bottom. Let's start on the left-hand side. And what we're doing is we're going to refold the cone fold until we get to the halfway point, right? It should be there. Now you take and pinch the top half, and that will follow the other side of the cone fold like that. So then it looks like this. Other side, start from the bottom, bring it all the way into the halfway point. That's also really important that you go all the way to the halfway. And then you pinch along your cone fold, and this is what you'll have. This is called a petal fold, P-E-T-A-L. The hardest thing to illustrate in a book. I've seen a million instructions and nobody's gotten it right. It's not like actually folding it in person and seeing it in 3D. That's really important. Okay, now let's do the small guy too, okay? So remember, leave Mr. Ice Cream folded, lift up the top flap, hold the rest of it down with your other hand, open up the pocket so that it stretches out, looks like a canoe. Start from the bottom, bring the paper in halfway, pinch the top half, start on the other side from the bottom, and just follow along your pre-creases, and you have your second petal. Anybody having any issues? All right, everyone ready for the next step? Okay, I'll wait just another few seconds. I love it, the precision, you know. You really want to try to get it as precise when you do origami, because it snowballs very quickly if you're off, like I said, the first few folds, right? But this is great. So you should have 2 petal folds on this side. Let's turn both of them over. Again, you want the open side facing you, and we're going to do a second ice cream cone on this side here, okay? So again, it's this edge that's closest to you that's going to come up to the center crease. Make sure you don't go over the crease, and do the same for the other half. And then finally, put Mr. Ice Cream down onto the cone and leave it folded. And let's go ahead and do the second one. Again, fold your ice cream cone. And then fold Mr. Ice Cream down. I don't know where I got Mr. Ice Cream from. I must be wanting ice cream now. Love ice cream. Who doesn't love ice cream, right? Okay, does everybody have this on both sides? Keep the ice cream folded, unfold the flaps underneath, stretch the paper out using both hands. And start from the bottom, work your way into the halfway, pinch, pinch, pinch going on the top. Same for the other side, start from the bottom, work your way into the halfway point, and then pinch, pinch, pinch. It looks like that. And let's do the same thing for the smaller one. Leave Mr. Ice Cream down there, open it up, stretch the paper out, start from the bottom and bring the edges in to the middle. If you did a really good job of pre-creasing, it should just kind of fall into place, but you do have to reverse the direction of the fold on the top part here. You're going to put the smaller one aside at this point. We're going to just work on the larger one. You will have 2 wings on the top, and you will have a leg and a tail down here. We're going to do some leg work, okay? All right, now, what we want to do first is let's have it oriented so that the wings are away from you and you've got the head and tail facing you. Pick one of the legs. Let's pick the right leg here. And what we're going to do is from the outside, you can see that there are 2 layers. So you go find from the outside, okay? Take the top layer, and you're going to make one long dart all the way down. But the key here is to leave some space from the edge. So I'm going to draw this so that you can see. It's really important to leave some space. So do you see that I have it doesn't go all the way to the end. That's how much you want to leave a little space like that. All the way down. That's really important. Just do that one side. Okay, everyone have that? Turn it over, and you're going to fold the other side of that same leg. So we'll have one skinny leg. No, it's called thin and healthy is the correct. So you have one slim leg and one healthy leg. Okay. So you can see on here I have a lot, there's more space here. Okay, so everyone's got that. 3 more folds and we're done. Okay, I know. It's like, what? Still, no one asked me what we're folding. That's okay. Now, from the outside, okay, we're working on Mr. Slim Leg here. From the outside, you're going to take that top layer and just open it up this way so that you're looking at this. Just the top layer, you're not unfolding it. So it should be a flap that look, it's a nice skinny flap like this. You're going to take this and fold this all the way to the top to meet the other points up here. Okay? Everyone got that? It's real important if you're kind of confused is come back to match exactly what you see on camera. Then that will help you, okay? So you should have this. You've got this flap. So we've got this flap that we folded up and it meets the other points up in here, right? We're going to take that same flap and fold it down about 1/3 and then fold. Something like that. Now this next step you want to pay very close attention because you'll get confused. It always happens, but don't worry, this is fine. Okay, you're holding this point down so it's not going to escape. That's what we want. Do you see the other half of that flap and it's on top of the long strip here? That half you want to bring over and close it up like that. Just the top layer. So you should have this and then this here. If it doesn't look like that, if it looks like this, does anybody's look like this? Good. Okay. It should all look like this. Does it look like that? Good. I did a good job. And you guys are paying attention. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you at this point here?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you fold this part down? Okay. Fold that down a little bit. And then hold it down as you take the other half here and close it up. Yes. Okay. Record's intact. I love it. Okay. Now, on this other side here, we're going to take the top flap and let's open it up, bring it over to the left side. So now you're looking at this, just the top layer. So it should look like this. Take this and bring it all the way to the top. Give it a good crease. So it looks like this. And now this step you want to make sure you pay attention to. You will notice that one side is only one layer and the other side is kind of a stack of layers. Mm-hmm. The side that has the stack of layers, that half, that top flap, is what you want to bring over to the other side. So it looks like this. Okay. Let's pick it up off the table. And that last flap that we did, if you peek inside, it's sticking up. It's the longest flap. Mm-hmm. What you want to do is find that and you want to pinch it. We're not going to unfold it. You want to pinch it so it doesn't unfold. Okay, pinch that. And then hold the model on this side here with the other hand. What you could do is you can move this around, right? You want to bring it all the way down to this point where the wing juts out. You see that point there? Bring it all the way down there and then make your fold. So it'll look like this. Bring it all the way down to this point. Okay, it should be flat, right? It's real important that it's like this. It matches that. It can't be up here. It's got to be here. Okay. Now, hold this here, and we're going to reach inside and grab the other flap. Again, you want to pinch it so that you can move it around. You want to bring it all the way to, do you see where these layers are, where it's folded? I like to match that angle and then pinch down here at the bottom. And then you're going to reach inside. You're going to bring the beak out, and you have to kind of use the same hand to do this because it'll want to snap back like it just did. Pull it out and then pinch the head. Okay, so this is a crane, but this is not any ordinary crane. This is the flying crane, which I think most of you have not seen. Maybe you've seen it, but you never folded it. Okay, we're going to fly this thing. Rule number 1, do not put a fold in the wings. What you have to do is you have to stretch it out. So the best way to do that is if you kind of support the body with your fingers here and grab each wing and just very gently pull it down. Don't put a crease. But you want to pull it down as far as it'll go, like what I'm doing here, until when you release it, the wings stay open like that. That's what you want. You want to train it so that the wings are, we're stretching. It's like you have to stretch before exercise. We're stretching the wings, okay? Now, do they look like this? Don't fold the wing. If you fold the wing, he's not going to like it. He's not going to fly. Okay, so if you're having problems, take each wing and pull it down as far as it'll go. Give it a couple of tugs. That'll do it, okay? Just pull it down. Okay, so it should look like this, right? Take one hand, pinch the base of the neck here. Take your other hand, pinch the tail. See, the tail is pointing in a certain direction. Very gently pull in that direction. Yes! Success! Did you get it? So, beyond the crane, okay? This is beyond the crane. I teach this all the time. The traditional crane is great, but it's not like this. I mean, come on, this is great, right? All right. Now, what you could do is flatten him out if you want to give him a rest, pack him away, but before you fly him, you got to do the stretch thing, and very gently pull the tail. Yes! Now, we're going to do something like this. For this, we need to share a pair of scissors, because this one we do have to make a cut. I know. So I was mentioning that I do make cuts for this connected cranes technique. To me, that's perfectly acceptable, because you're not cutting the square that creates the model. Now, in my grandpa's book, this was the early stages of origami. And at this point, it was perfectly acceptable to make cuts to do your details. So I'll put it on camera. So you see this fish? This here is actually cut. The basket here, there was a cut here to make that detail. But now it's elevated to the point where you don't have to cut. But there are some other models that are really great models. You just have to make just a small cut, and it's not bad. Okay, so your second model should be a crane base like this. I want you to take each wing and fold it down. Turn it over and fold it down. What we want to do is we want to cut. You have the center crease here, and you see where Mr. Ice Cream edge is right here. We want to make a cut from the point to Mr. Ice Cream on the wing. So you're going to cut both wings, right? So cut this on this side. Just go right down to Mr. Ice Cream. Turn it over and do the same thing, cut that wing. And this is a really cool model. Does everybody know that this is the year of the fire horse? We're folding a fire horse. Take the wing, both flaps, and fold it up. Turn it over, take both wings and fold it up. Okay, so after you cut it, you're going to replace the wing. Now your head and tail should be facing you. Position it in front of you so that it's facing you. What you're going to do is, let's do this right flap. From the middle, what you're going to do is open it up, and then this will squash down this way. So, open it up and flatten it. So now it looks like the side of a preliminary base, right? And you got a split down the middle. Okay, turn it over and do the same thing. So again, you're taking one half, opening it up, and then you're squashing it down. Same thing for the other side. Open it up and then squash it. It'll kind of fall into place like that. So now you're looking at this, both sides. So again, make sure the open end is facing you, and you should have a split on that top layer. Let's take the flap on the right, and you want to fold it out as far as it'll go, which is actually this corner and the base of Mr. Ice Cream. So it looks like a diamond, right? Do the same thing for the other half. Open that up. So we've got 2 diamonds. You should see a crease that goes down the middle of each diamond. Okay, looks like this. And fold each diamond in half. So from the outside, you're going to take this and just fold it in. It's like you're closing up the flap. Okay, do the same thing for this side. From the outside, you're going to fold it in like that. Oh, I just realized, oh yeah, you are seeing that. My apologies. So it should look like this. Okay, let's turn it over and do the same thing for this side. So the first step is to take each side and fold it up. And then from the outside, you're going to bring that point in, folding this in half. Okay, take your model and let's rotate it. So it's pointing away from you. You've got 4 legs down here. So we're going to do the head and tail now with these 2 flaps up in here. Let's do the tail first. So what we want to do is let's take this one on the right, and we want to make kind of a right angle fold like that. Just take this and fold it towards you and go ahead and give it a good pinch. So it looks like this, right? Really reinforce that. And then this point here, just a little bit on the outside, you're just going to fold it kind of up at an angle. This actually kind of makes a little right angle here. Do you see that? So try to match what you see on camera, something that looks like that. And of course, this is open to interpretation. This is going to be the tail of the horse. So now that you have those folds in place, everyone have that? Okay. Unfold this. Let's unfold this. So we're back to this now. What you're going to do is do an inside reverse fold. Ooh, inside reverse fold. What the heck is that? Okay. You want to put a flap inside, reversing the direction of the fold. So you have this. Now from the outside, you can open it up and you see you have 2 layers, right? Now if you look inside, you see there's a little V that you've just created. What you want to do is you're going to use that as the next step, and you're going to reverse the direction of this here. Watch this first, and this is what I mean. You're actually going to take this, and this is going to come in, and then this ends up reversing direction. So what you want to do is bring this in. This will follow 1/2 of that V automatically, but you have to reverse the direction of the other half. So when you bring this down, it's between the layers, and then when you close it, it should follow that fold, so it looks like this. Inside reverse fold. Once you get used to that idea, there are a lot of models that use this technique, inside reverse. So it should look like this from the top, right? You've got this channel that comes in, the little valley. It looks like that from the side. Now the tail. We're going to do the same thing. This time we're going to inside reverse it going up. So you want to open it up from the top, push this through, and then pinch. Now we did it a different way for the crane, but this is also inside reverse folding up in here. Does it look like it goes in like that? So now we're going to do the head. Okay, ready for the head? Let's take the top and fold it down. You want to get a good profile of a head. So something like that works. You want to pinch it really well, because we're going to inside reverse this too. So once you have what size head you want and the position, give it a good pinch. You're going to unfold that. From the outside, you're going to open the layers and then push this down, reversing it. Right? And then pinching it. Now, a horse does not have a pointy snout. So you see this point? What you're going to do is just kind of open this up on the top and then just tuck in a little bit, just fold it in, blunting the nose, and then close it back up. Well, let's see, I'll do a little bit more. Right? So I've folded the point in a little bit, and then I'm closing it up so that it's more like that. And that is your horse. That's your fire horse. It should stand. We went over just a few minutes, so apologies for that. I try to stay on schedule, but I'm turning it over to Vickie.
I want to thank Linda for this very informative. I think one of the things that we've learned today is that Linda not only explores the art of origami, but she really pushes the envelope and expands the artistry of what we know as origami. And so again, if we can thank her, yes.
Thank you guys too.
And-
Awesome class.
And so what we would like to do is we want to have you, there's wonderful food that's been prepared for you today. And then perhaps maybe in your groups, talk with one another and answer the following questions, like what kind of origami did you learn growing up? What do you remember making and playing with? And maybe have that discussion amongst yourselves. And if you have your raffle tickets, please come up and put them in the appropriate bowls. If all the staff could stand up, we'd like to thank you for bringing another very interesting. We're hoping that you're a part of transmitting culture. Take a look at what's available for purchase in terms of some of the origami books and supplies that have been brought to you by Linda.
Thank you, Vickie.
You're welcome. Linda's going to show you her advertisements.
A couple of
that
TV
utilize-
commercials that I did. And then if anybody has any questions, any Q&A, I'm happy to answer that too. So part of the fun for me is to be able to do origami for TV commercials. And I've done quite a few. I brought a few of them, one of my most recent, one that I did a few years ago, and another one that's a pretty big deal. So this first one I did for Febreze. And the request for this is to fold real toilet paper origami. So when you look at the opening scene, all of those models, which I had to coach her, was folded from real toilet paper. And a little bit more about the story after the commercial.
Febreze noticeables. Makes even the most unlikely rooms likable.
Been in here forever.
Febreze noticeables has alternating scents to renew the freshness and eliminates odors in the air caused by bacteria.
What were you doing in there so long?
Febreze noticeables in 2 new scents. It's always that fresh.
Isn't that great? So the story with this is I worked on this commercial with Robert Lang, who's a big deal in the world of origami. He's a good friend of mine. So the request was real toilet paper folded. Robert says, well, you really can't get a good look with toilet paper, so we'll fold a bunch from regular copy paper, which is actually what you're looking at here. All the models around the edge of the bathroom is from from copy paper. And then I was scheduled to go down to LA to wrangle the models, the term that they use when you're on set. So, but the day before I was going to fly down, the director calls me directly and he goes, I need some real toilet paper folded for the close-up scenes. And he says, can you bring some down that's folded from real toilet paper? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. Hang up, I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't know how I'm going to fold toilet paper. So off to the store I go. I buy one of each brand because I don't know what's going to work. So I'm at the counter and I had this whole pile of toilet paper, and the checker was like looking at me and I said, don't ask. Take it home, and I start to experiment, break it apart into squares and try to fold something. And I thought the what's that cheap one? Scott tissue? I thought that was going to be the best one. It was like it wouldn't do anything, right? None of this really worked. But I tried doing Charmin 2-ply, but I pulled the plies apart. And I was able to do some kind of folding with that, and that was great. So I folded a bunch of models. And then it hit me, because when you do stuff like this, you have to say yes. The director says, okay, can you do this? And you have to say yes. And you got to figure it out, right? So I woke up and I realized I could use my flat iron for my hair and iron it out. That's what I did. So all the models that you see are really crisp. It's because I used an iron. That was great. Now, this one I did for Microsoft last year, which is interesting because I did a commercial for Febreze, McDonald's, Clear Hair Care, and it was all kind of within about a 6-year part in history. The graphics started to catch up and things started to, they're doing 3D animation and they're doing all this AI stuff, and then, so there was no real call for real origami until Microsoft called. They were introducing their new AI system in their new PC. And so this commercial was 4 parts. So my part is origami, and you'll see it. It's the third scene that comes in, and the request was to do origami butterflies. And we had to make a bunch of origami butterflies in the scene, and you'll see how that ties in with the commercial.
Do we really need another computer that's faster, more powerful? Not everyone does. But if you're reinventing music as a choir of one, tracking migratory patterns in the middle of nowhere, or trying to get your crew to follow your exact vision, then a Copilot Plus PC will make a real difference. Powerful AI computers, not for everyone. But if you're trying to change the world, even if it's just your own, we built one for you. The fastest, most intelligent Windows PCs ever.
So that was fun. Now this one was for Mitsubishi Motors, and this was a huge undertaking. This one, again, I work with Robert Lang, and this is the first time we worked together on a project. He called me and he goes, hey, are you available next week to help me on a project? I said, sure, what do you need? He goes, well, you need to go to LA, and I need help folding some stuff for this commercial. I said, yeah, no problem, I'm there. My responsibility was to fold these sweet gum tree leaves that appear in the opening scene. It was his design, so and we didn't have time to get together to learn it. So we met in LA. While we're driving to the studio, he's verbally dictating to me the directions of how to fold this sweet gum tree leaves. So by the time I get to the studio, I knew how to fold it, because I had to fold a dozen of these leaves. Once I got to the studio and I cranked out these leaves, then the director, who's this award-winning director, his name is Victor Garcia, said, hey, can you do a Victorian house? I said, yeah, we could do that. Again, you have to say yes. You can't say no. You can't say, I need time to do this. No. You have to be able to design it on the spot and do it camera ready. So it's incredible amount of stress. So Robert looks at me, because I said, yes, we can do that. Robert looks at me and he goes, when the director left, he goes, I don't know how to do a Victorian house. I said, I grew up in a Victorian house. I understand what this means. So we were working with a team of model builders. We had about 30 model builders in this one group. I can't think of the name of it now. But we had a whole team of people helping us out on this project. When you see this commercial, you'll see why we need the help. So the model builders helped build the structure, and then Robert and I did all the clapboard siding, the windows, all the detail and everything to Victorian House. The director took a picture of it, sent it to the client. They said, great, now we need the other 4 to replicate the painted ladies. So off I go, I'm folding away and everything like that. And then he's giving Robert some challenges. Anyway, when all was said and done, we were there for a whole week, folded over 1,500 components of origami. And it was going to be up for a Clio Award. Do you guys know what the Clio Award is for commercials? Because the director says, I think you guys are going to be up for a Clio Award. I go, that's great. But it takes the client to submit it, and the client didn't want to submit it. And then it was going to be shown during Super Bowl. And it was like, that's great. That's all I need, right? But then they said, no, we're not going to show it during Super Bowl. We're going to show it in limited markets, and we'll let you know when we show it. They never told us when they were going to show it. I'm watching TV one night, and up comes a commercial. So here is Mitsubishi. There's a lot going on in here. There's subtitles, the guy speaking in Japanese, and there's a lot going on. There we go. See my leaves on the bottom?
それは注物を支配する。それは風を支配する。それは都市を支配する。それはエンデバと呼ばれている。The 2006 Mitsubishi Endeavor, with a powerful 3.8-liter V6 and available all-wheel drive, a mythic combination of beauty and beast. Mitsubishi, driven to thrill.
Okay, so that was a lot of work. The detail on the painted ladies was something else. The last house had a window box with little tiny flowers, and we had to fold everything from backdrop paper. And if you don't know what backdrop paper is, it's like construction paper. It's heavy stuff. So if you're going to make a flower that's like an inch tall, it's really hard to do that. But like the downtown scene, those buildings were like 8 feet tall. It's built 1/20th scale. There's Art Deco statues we did. Robert did a signal light. all this, you can't, it goes by so fast you don't even see it. Now that scene where it's like the wheat stalks, so the director says, okay, I need 1,000 wheat stalks. And we said, well, each wheat stalk takes 30 minutes. I don't think we have that time. That was the only scene that was digitally replicated. So we made 5, and then they replicated that to make the scene. Because then he had said, okay, now I need a dragon. Now I need a dog. I need an origami man. I need an origami woman, which we did. And a lot of it didn't make it into the commercial. But so talk about stress. That was when I knew I could be a pretty decent designer. Precise models and make it work in the commercial. That commercial, they were using this digital camera it cost 30 grand a minute to run. So at one point in the commercial, when we're doing, okay, there's the scene where you got the wheat field scene, and in the back, there's like a fence, telephone poles, and then these mountains. So we had made the mountains up, and it was ready to be shot. The director looks in the camera and he goes, it's the wrong scale. The mountains need to be half the size. You have 5 minutes. So Robert and I grab the paper, and I'm like, okay, I need a knife. And there's like a whole team of guys, and so we're at this table. They know time is money. We're cutting the squares, we're folding the mountains. We hand it off to the model makers. They go ahead and put it up on the background. Director looks in the camera and goes, perfect, and then it was a go. But that was, because this whole team is waiting, for you to do your thing. And the director is like, yeah, that was, but there's some great stories. They fed us really well. They had, there was a guy walking by every hour with a tray of snacks because, nobody could leave their post, right? You've got the guy that's doing the boom. You got the guy that's running the camera. You got several guys running the camera. You got the guys moving the stuff around. And once the doors closed to the studio, and it was being filmed at Sunset Gower Studios. That's where they used to film The Three Stooges, for those of you who know The Three Stooges. But anyway, it was kind of fun to be there in Hollywood to do that and be in a real movie set like that. But that was kind of fun. Let's see. So I did one for McDonald's. Let's see. Do I have?
Was the dragon?
The dragon was only this big. They animated that. All the animals that were running around in the morning, in the beginning, and then the dragon that he's like. So the dragon, the body was one piece, the head was another piece, and that was digitally animated. So what they do is they scan it, and then they're able to digitally manipulate the motion. Everything else was an actual scene that was built. The opening scene where it's a big forest, so we were only able to make 100 trees. And so everything was built on platforms that were like 12 feet by 12 feet, rolling platforms. So the trees only filled up a quarter of that space. So what they had to do is they had to put the trees in one corner, film it, then they had to remove them, move them to the next corner, film that, move them to the next corner, and then the following. And then that's how that magic works. So then it's seamless when you see it in camera. The car was filmed at Dodger Stadium, doing his thing. And so we had to build the sets according to the scale of where the car was. So it was a lot of you have to pay attention to detail and say, I need 1/20th scale buildings. Okay. Boom, we go ahead and do that. So then what they did was they matched the scene, the origami scene, with the car, there was a green screen behind the car. And then that's what happens. It's really great. That was a fun project. So for the Microsoft, that was all done stop motion. Okay, so this is stop motion. So I worked with a stop motion animator, and stop motion photography is where you have the model, and then, it's in one position, they shoot it, then you move it a little bit, and then you move it a little bit. Then when it's gone together, it's seamless. All the models in this commercial were folded from, there's something called modeler's foil, which is a gray, very heavy foil that they applied the color in post, so then they could pick the colors and everything like that. The fun part of this commercial is looking at the elephant, because the elephant his trunk goes up and like this, and the final scene he turns to the camera and he's going like this. But there's a lot of other stuff going on. Okay, so here's McDonald's origami. Let's see.
McCafe adds a little extra to ordinary, making life extraordinary. With McCafe's frozen strawberry lemonade and cherry berry chiller, there's more wonder to love.
Now, they said that they were going to show that in limited markets, because you see the actors are all Asian. They didn't say they were going to show it in Asia because they're all speaking English, or the guy's speaking English. So I never knew if it actually made it. But if you think about it, and then I heard that they didn't show it, and I'm like, well, that was too bad, because, you know, that would have been really fun to see. And then I was like trying to figure out why they wouldn't show it. And, you know, these companies have different reasons for doing that, right? There was even some concern about the Mitsubishi commercial being a little too much, not enough car and too much origami. And I don't know if that was the reason why they didn't put it up for a Clio Award. But the McDonald's commercial, I'm wondering if they thought that, okay, so you saw the commercial, like the kids are hanging out, the girl brings the drinks, and they're all drinking, having a good time, and then all of a sudden these origami models start to come to life. So you kind of wonder if maybe there's something in the drinks that maybe is causing them to drink that. So I don't know if maybe that's what they thought, because you don't want to give them a wrong impression.
You know your designs, do you patent them? Like,
That's a really good question. In the world of origami design, we all of us designers know whose work is whose, and we respect that. The part that gets a little sticky is if you're doing something for a commercial that is somebody else's model. If that's the case, you have to ask permission. There's also additional things like you have to have a usage clause to be able to use it. Sometimes that means that the designer has to get paid for the usage, and the usage is usually a certain amount of time, whether it's a year or a month or what. It can get really sticky. So that's where, when you're a designer, you can design everything and they have full license and you don't have to worry about that. There was one guy in Europe that did a commercial for Virgin Atlantic, and he did a lot of origami for this commercial. He used other people's model. He didn't get permission. This hit the airwaves, and everyone's like, hey, wait, that's my rabbit. Hey, that's my goldfish. The client didn't know, because it's up to them to know that when you're dealing with origami. And so this guy, they had to get a cease and desist order because that clause was not part of it, you know. And he was pretty much banished from the world of origami creators. We all like, hey, you're not supposed to do that, you know. So you can't really patent something. It's just something that you have to be able to claim it as your design, original design. And everyone kind of knows if you want to use that for something, for commercial purpose, it's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to deal with. Yeah, you can't really patent it. And then once it's published in a book, it's kind of out in the public. And so you kind of lose your thing. But what you can do is make it a point that if you're going to use some of my stuff to produce, let's say you're going to do a certain butterfly and make butterfly earrings and sell it, the right thing to do is to ask permission. Some artists will say, you know, you can use a design. We just kindly request like 10% of your sales. So the world of origami's designers were pretty cool. Yeah, question?
Can I ask you about the vibrant colors that the origami paper is in?
The butterflies?
How strong the paper is. Is there a secret ingredient that they put in the paper that makes it so strong and that flexible?
Well, the more detailed the model, the thinner the paper. So it's a matter of getting something that's really strong in a thinner paper. Traditionally, it's like a Japanese paper that has washi or Japanese mulberry fiber, and that's done in different ways. There's ways to treat it to make it stay, like there's something called methyl cellulose that you use to coat the model to kind of keep it in its shape so it doesn't lose its shape. So each thing is different. It just depends. Like all the Mitsubishi ones, it was all the same heavy paper, which is a real challenge to do. I had to actually use a steel rod as my bone folder. But you also have to be careful that you don't split the paper too, because when you've got thicker paper and you fold it, I don't know if you've ever had that problem, where you fold it and then it splits. So you have to be really careful how you handle that too. Each one's different, you know. Good questions. Yes?
When you design something,
Mhm.
Do you design it in your head based on what you know of the fold, or is there a trial and error kind of aspect to it also?
Yes and yes. Sometimes there is a trial and error. Now, in the world of designers, there are two different schools. There's people like me that have been doing it all my life, and I have a good grasp of the basics, so I can use that to create things. And then there's the other school where the mathematician engineers that can use this program. There's a program called Tree Maker that helps plot a very complex crease pattern. So you kind of have those two schools of people that design. So when Robert and I work together on a commercial, it's great because he's the linear, precise guy, and I'm the artistic guy, and we work well. So let's say I want to design an elephant, right? Like the one that in the commercial. What kind of elephant do you want to make? Is it going to be an Asian or an African elephant? Because that depends on the kind of ear that you do. So I pick out usually 3 characteristics of an animal. If it's an animal that I'm doing, I pick out 3 characteristics. The elephant's got to have a trunk, it's got to have a good profile on the ear, and he's got to have a chunky body. If you get those 3 things right, it'll read as an elephant. So then it's a matter of making that happen. You can kind of get an idea of how to do ears, similar to the wings for the crane, right? There's that part that you can add into the model. There's a certain part of the paper that will allow you the length to make the trunk. And then you've got the chunky body. You don't really have to spend too much time working on that, but you really do need to pay attention to the head. So that's kind of my approach. I kind of figure out what do I need to accomplish in the model to do that. Now for the dresses and things like that, it's a total free thing what I want to do. And to me, you can use origami to create interest in a garment. So let's say if you were making something out of tweed, right, that gives a certain texture to the garment. You could even paint the surface to create interest in the surface of a garment. But to me, you could use origami as a technique to create that interest in the garment. So that's where this was my first one, the kimono jacket. And my challenge was to fold something from a single sheet of paper. This is one piece of paper. What's cool about this pattern, it's a twist pattern. If you look at the center, you can kind of see the back of the garment, or the inside of the garment, which looks different than the outside. The inside looks like it's woven, which is really cool. That would be the side that goes against your skin, and that's the side that would be really comfortable, right? The outside, these points kind of come out, but it's folded from a translucent paper, so when you actually have it lit from behind, you could see additional layers in the paper. It's really kind of cool. So that was a really fun thing that happened, and then I did the dress. And then when I finished the dress, I said it needs shoes. I made the high heels to match the shoes. You need the complete outfit. When I do the wearables, that's kind of what I do. So if I'm not doing multiple crane things, I'm working on fashion when I have the time, you know. But yeah, good questions.
Well, with that question, I think we're going to wrap. And I want to thank you for staying and
my pleasure,
and sharing your
Thank you.
Passion for your craft.
Thank you for having me, Vickie. It was my pleasure.
Beyond the crane, it's beyond, right?
And you might be interested to know that I'm the only Japanese-American female that's doing this. Like in the commercials, really pretty much the only female out of the group of guys that are doing it.
Then we're honored.
Which is the other thing, is like I want to try to be a pioneer, so that's kind of, that ticks the boxes in my thing there too. So, yeah.
Well, we'll keep following you, and as
Yeah.
long as you keep responding yes to our invitation.
Let me just say there's a one very big project that I just became a part of. I signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't tell you about it, but you'll know about it in a couple of months. It's a big, big deal. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. So
I hope you come back to share.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to.
And thank you all for staying.